Hi everyone, I'm Carla.
And I'm Lanes. And together, we're the Aft Deck,
Where each week we recap an episode of Bravo's hit reality TV show,
Below Deck.
So, it's a daytime recording today, Lanes.
Yes.
And it's a Barossa rosé.
Rosé through the day.
Cat amongst the pigeons, it is.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So before we get stuck in, I've got some goss. Not really goss. A little bit of goss. Have you got any goss?
Yeah, I've got goss.
Do you want to go first?
No.
Okay, I'll go first. So I've had sick kids, sick house, sick me all week. So I went on a deep dive on binging shows that I couldn't really care about or have been in the back of my head. Grey's Anatomy, season 17, 855. And then I found Below Deck Adventure. The captain of Below Deck Adventure is Captain Kerry, who is going to be the captain for season 11 Below Deck. And guess what, Lanes?
What?
He's from the frickin' Outback.
Is he?
He's a hardcore Aussie ex-Marine from the Outback through the military. Now,
Are we gonna love him? Or is he too hard?
love and hate.
Yeah, okay.
He's very much no shit, like harsh but fair.
Okay.
You know, one of the things he said on one of the episodes was, "I'm not here to fuck spiders." And the deck crew, who is American, goes, "I'm
What
sorry,
does that mean?"
what?"
Yeah.
He goes, "I'm not here to fuck spiders," and he goes, "I've got no idea what that means."
Because no one would want to.
Anyway, so that was fun. I know all about Captain Kerry. What's your goss?
Well, it's not really goss, but it's more of a little thank you to Ben.
Oh yes, what happened?
Well, he shared some things that we had on our Instagram with our little Vegemite sandwich that we're going to make him.
Yeah, so if we remember back, the Vegemite sandwich was because on one episode he said he didn't have lunch.
Well, he asked if he could have his lunch at 8:30 at night.
Yes.
And I was like, mate, I'll get you some Vegemite sandwiches over there so you can have them frozen. They freeze very well. You can get it out and have it whenever in your back pocket.
So Ben heard this.
Yep.
And then he shared our little snippet on
Yes.
his Instagram stories.
Yes, so thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. And the offer's still there,
Yeah.
even though you're not having lunch at 8:30. Today we're talking about Below Deck Season 10, Episode 10, Caribbean Gigolo. In this episode, Tyler, the new deck stew, arrives and we fucking love him. Ross is Sloppy McSlop Slop on a crew night out. Alissa doubles down and alienates herself further from the crew. Oh, and Camille makes a surprise guest appearance. So we're at the beach picnic, continued from last week.
Yes. We have no food yet, and the pregnant wife is complaining that she's going to vomit
Get it?
because she's so hungry. So they're 40 minutes late for lunch. It's 2:30. So that's actually not too late for lunch, considering it's usually about 3.
Unless you're pregnant, isolated, stranded on a beach with no food. Rachel knows that the clock is ticking and the shit's about to thicken and lunch is a clusterfuck.
Yeah, and so Alissa has been called twice by Rachel over the
Radio. She's not helping.
No. And Rachel's tired and getting really frustrated, and she's got that extra stress of intense hunger on the beach, and Alyssa's just not there.
No,
It's like Camille's gone.
Alyssa's checked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the strangest thing.
Isn't it?
It's like,
Because
you would step up. You'd be like, it's the problem really was her. Look at how well everything's going. And she's doing the opposite.
Yeah.
It's this anxiety that she's got because she thinks everyone hates her because of the Camille and Alissa drama. So at the beginning of the episode, she's still anxious, upset, paranoid. And then later we see the dinner that they're all out and the old Alissa seems to flare up again. It's like what's that character that has the two?
I know. I'm just in my mind going, what's that?
Yeah.
Jekyll and Hyde. Heckle and Hyde, I was going to say.
Jekyll and Hyde.
That's it.
We get there in the end.
Yes.
So, yeah, anyway.
Rachel gets her food together.
The lunch looks yum. There's a lot of food and they all really love it.
10 out of 10.
Late but great.
Late but great.
Alissa pops open a bottle of champagne and it hits her in the face.
I didn't even see it happen.
It didn't hit her in the eye, but it did hit her in the face.
Rebounded off a cheek or something.
And so I did a little Google. Like it's
Pray
usually
tell.
your trick. So every year approximately 24 people die in France from accidents involving champagne corks.
Die?
Yes.
Where are they popping the champagne?
I don't know.
Up
That's
there.
the only thing I got. And I just didn't want to go further because you know I love champagne. So
in the mouth.
well, yeah, choking. People have lost their eyesight. I know that's not death, but a lot of eyes. So one thing is keep the cage on the cork.
Always.
Yeah. So why are people – and then they're trying to do the big,
Yeah.
big pop where the cork goes flying. Do that if you're going in an open field where there's no – it's like shooting a gun. You never know where that bullet's going to end up.
Exactly.
Because we do that all the time. So lunch is served.
They love
Everyone's
it.
Everyone's applauded the effort and Rachel kind of like flops into the tender like a seal.
Yeah. A forward seal flop, I think. Was it Ross who said that? Someone
Yeah.
was narrating it. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that. She goes back to the boat. The guests chill out for a bit. Fraser runs around a lot. And then they head back, really.
Rachel talks to Captain Sandy and lets her know that she's spoken to the primary while she was over on the beach and he's really happy with a 3-course dinner. So yay all around.
Thumbs up.
Yep, she's stoked. Fraser, Ross and Katie are packing up.
Yeah, and Ross says that him and Katie, we get this little Ross talking to camera and he says, Katie and I aren't exactly stable. There's potential for problems there and I'm not going to roll the dice on it. He's basically saying it's only going to implode. I know me. I don't know why I'm even trying to make something work, but I like her sort of thing.
Because Katie's offered up her cabin.
Yes, she has.
So this is why he's talking a lot about their relationship because she said, can you, would you consider moving into my cabin with me? Because we've got the new stew coming for this charter. So do you want to come into my cabin?
And he kind of immediately says yes, that'd be great. But then he doesn't in the end. Spoilers. Which actually I thought was a responsible move.
Yeah, yes. Well, I think he says it's a complication.
Yeah. Way too soon to be moving in with someone that you're working with that you've just met in such close quarters. You can hear everything behind that toilet door. Everything.
That's exactly what I think of every time. And I'm like, that's a job. I mean, I'd want my own.
Do you know what? If we shared a cabin, it would be perfect because we could have allotted times.
Yeah.
Where I'm saying, okay, it's my private time now. Can you leave?
Yes.
And then you can say the same to me.
Yes.
I'd be happy with that.
I'm like, Lanes, I've had a coffee.
I'm ready now. Or can you put some music on? That could be the code.
Yes.
Turn it up really loud.
And incense?
I don't think you're allowed on a boat.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Hayley and Alissa are on board and Alissa brings up that she feels people think it's her fault that Camille got fired.
Not only that, Lanes, she thinks people are making her feel like it's her fault. They're actually now actively going out of their way to make Alissa feel like it's her fault.
I don't even know where to start. She's feeling so emotional and she said that she knows in her heart that Camille left because of her actions, but she's struggling. She's struggling with it because everyone is struggling with her and she's struggling with the guilt.
Interesting turn of events, I say. And moving on, Captain says that Tyler is arriving and he's the new deck stew. We love Tyler. We know Tyler already because we've seen the end of the season. But everyone on bored, doesn't know what he's going to be like. And Hayley's wondering, just please let him not be Satan. She has low expectations. She doesn't care. Just not Satan, please. Anyone above that is great. So he arrives. He's from South Africa. And side note, Ross tells us he was in jail in Durban at one point. Lol.
Like, why? Why, Ross?
I want to know.
I thought drunk and disorderly.
I would put money on it.
Or sex in a public place.
And money on that.
I think that's it.
So Tyler arrives. He says he enjoys the weird parts of yachting, like the order, the rules, the towel folding, and he has self-diagnosed OCD.
And did you hear when Captain Sandy had the heads of department in the bridge that she was like, you know, don't just stick him in the laundry and forget about him?
Yeah.
Because she can obviously see his capabilities and how good he is.
And a lot of experience.
Very much.
Was
Well,
it 5
even
years or
Fraser
something?
says
That's a lot.
he's got more experience than both the girls put together.
There you go.
And he's very good at his job. Like, his work ethic is 110%.
We may as well say it now, what he says about his work ethic.
Go.
He says, you don't need to tell me what to do. The only thing you need to do is tell me when to stop fucking working, because I'll just keep going. And it's true.
And you see it.
Yeah. He's a machine.
Yes.
He could fold my towels. I would just love him for a day.
Oh, my God.
Tyler, could you just for a day?
No, I'd build a granny flat and I would have him live with me. He could take the kids to school.
How could you make it enticing and attractive for him?
Oh, no. Well, I could be his friend.
Yeah. Tyler, I hope you like wine, because Lanes could definitely
He does. I've seen him drink rosé.
There you go. She could fill your little wine
Cup.
fridge weekly. Okay. Dinner? Are we at dinner yet?
Yeah, it's 8:26.
Yep.
And guests are heading up to dinner. Rachel asked Fraser to communicate with her a little bit more.
I'm laughing because of the beaker.
Oh, yeah. Because all she says is you hear Fraser like running up the stairs, running down the stairs, running up the stairs. And then she comments that when he skips a step or trips a bit, it makes her chuckle. I was laughing about that.
And then we get this side by side because she says, you know, it's like beaker. And we get the side by side of Fraser.
From the Muppets.
From the Muppets, of Fraser and Beaker. So if you're of our age group, you'll know who Beaker is. But it's such a good comparison.
Yes. It's 8:55 and dinner is served. Now, it's a bit early to serve the dinner. I mean, on time.
I mean, first time ever for Rachel.
Yeah. They all enjoy it, of course. She's amazing. And Hayley and Tyler are downstairs doing some housekeeping but also getting to know each other. And she's already seeing how amazing he is at his job.
She's actually astonished by his folding, his towel folding. And she says, oh, my God, Fraser's going to love you.
Like, love you.
Like, love you.
Compared to the last stew?
Oh, yeah. And we get this cut to
Camille.
Drinking in the corridor with dark glasses on, and Fraser going, what the fuck? What are you doing?
And she's like, I'm having a wine. Like, it's ain't no thing.
Chalk and cheese.
Oh.
So Tyler tells us he's super excited because he's just started something new. He's gender fluid, or he's fluid. He grew up in a small religious town in South Africa, and so moving into yachting has meant that he can really explore himself and his sexuality and just be free. Anyway, he met this guy, and the night before he was going to join the yacht, he called him and said, do you want to be my boyfriend?
So
and the guy
sweet.
said yes. So he's on that like really high of like, oh my God, I like someone and they like me back.
It's really sweet. Yeah.
So dinner was done by 10:30.
10:19.
Well done, Rachel.
Excelled.
And everyone just trots off
Yep.
and goes to bed.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine that night?
I would,
Especially leading into a night out or a day off.
yes.
Yeah.
I would be kicking myself if I was Rachel thinking, why the fuck didn't I do 3 courses like every night of this charter? I could have been in bed by 11 every night.
Do you know what, though? Like, I know that she's had some really long dinners, but the crew haven't really complained about her with that.
No, but it's their job, I guess.
Yeah, there's been other seasons where they, like, hate the chef.
Yeah. Well, she's Rachel. How could you hate Rachel?
I know, you can't.
She's funny as fuck. And her food must be amazing.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine if we had a meal from her, like a party with her cooking?
No.
Oh,
We'd
God,
have to charge tickets.
It'd
Invite
be so
only.
good. So Taylor moves in with Katie. Sorry, Tyler moves in with Katie. And he's like, is it always like this?
And Katie's like,
looking around the room at the water bottles and the
undies
and the clothes and the unmade bed and just the shit everywhere. Is it always like this? And she's like, oh, my God, he's clean.
Yeah.
I've got someone clean.
Because I didn't realise that Katie was so messy.
No.
I thought it was all Camille. But
I put all that on her too.
Actually, Katie was a co-conspirator, co-contributor.
Lucky that Tyler is such a lovely human that even though the cabin is messy, I think that he'll be able to cope with it. He'll just keep his space clean.
Yeah, and he'll be secretly folding Katie's
Yes,
clothes
yeah.
on the side and putting
Yeah.
them away for her.
Yes.
They haul anchor, head to port. They have a wonderful breakfast.
Yep.
All crew to the aft deck. Bye, guests.
We've had some criticism. So they're hugging. The guests are saying goodbye. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And the primary says that they had a great trip. This is where they've got the big, hopefully, big envelope, thick, fat envelope of cash to hand over the tip. And so far, everyone's just been, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. There's been no criticism, even with the people that were awful guests. They didn't even criticise.
No.
These people who had, I think, great service, like everyone was running around, they were like, it was a great trip, but there was a few little hiccups with, looking for drinks and looking for help and my wife feeling a little hungry at times. And he said they had to go find it maybe a few too many times for us. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Their level of lifestyle must be so luxurious that they don't ever have to get up off their ass and do one thing for themselves.
No.
Because Fraser was onto it. Out of their whites and let's turn the boat around. Sandy calls them to the Sky Lounge for their tip meeting. The crew are talking about the feedback. They're all feeling concerned and deflated.
They think they're going to get a shit tip.
Yeah. And also maybe they're thinking, I wonder what Sandy's going to say to us.
Yeah. And Sandy is classic Sandy and says, this was great feedback. It was constructive. That's it.
Yeah.
And here's your tip, which was a great tip.
$22,000, which was $1,833 per person.
Happy with that.
Same.
And then she says, because you've been working so hard, tomorrow I'm sending you to the Pitons, not the Tetons, for a crew day off.
So fun. They're just like, yes, everything in them was like, oh my God, amazing.
And it's a fucking huge day off. They start at dawn and they go, this is what, and anyway, let's get into it.
It's massive.
They turn the boat around. Rachel and Sandy go for a little coffee.
Which was so nice.
As always, Sandy starts with a compliment.
What a joy you are to have on board.
I knew you'd know it. And then she says, how are you going? And Rachel says, yeah, I'm good. And then they talk about Fraser and the issues with communication. And Rachel says, I support him, but he's spreading himself too thin. And Sandy goes, you know what? I don't want to get into the minutiae. I haven't heard anyone use that word. Was it you last week? But was it about Sandy?
It wasn't last week. It was a few pods ago.
Well, I was like, oh, no one says that word. Except Lanes did. Minutia. I loved it. She said, I don't want to get into the minutia. I just want you and Fraser as heads of department to work it out. I know you can. Masterclass 101.
Yeah. And so meanwhile, back on the boat, Fraser has called his team for a meeting. It goes differently to Sandy and Rachel's meeting.
Just a tad, because someone has a reaction.
So he thinks that overall we could all improve.
Yes.
And he said, Alissa, I just want to get you to get your head around the beach picnic stuff. And it was said in a very easygoing way. I'd be just like, yeah, got it.
Oh, and Alissa, who is second stew, who is Queen of the Queens and King of the Kings.
Yes.
She's all over the beach picnic.
She thinks everyone else can't do as good a job as her.
So why all of a sudden is it? Anyway, so what happens?
Well, she gets up and she says, I'm so done. I'm so sorry. I'm so done. And she starts crying and Hayley launches herself back onto the lounge with this smile and her eyes wide and just like, all I think is she's just like, what the fuck is that?
Her eyes roll so far back into her head. She's like, oh, here we go.
So this is the first feedback that Alissa has had that's not positive. And when I say not positive, it's not even negative.
Exactly.
It's just not you're amazing, babe, or you're so beautiful, babe, or look at the sunlight hitting your face, babe.
Yeah.
So it's Fraser wanting...
Did he actually say that?
No, I'm just exaggerating.
Loved it.
It's Fraser wanting to up the ante on the quality of service that his team is giving the guests. That's all that was. This is just a manager having a meeting with his staff saying, here's the points I think, we've had this feedback from this guest. I know it wasn't directed at us, but let's improve what we can do. And I've noticed that our beach picnics could be improved. That's all that was.
Yeah.
And Alissa, paranoid, goes on one.
She stands up, she cries, and she says, I'm so done, I'm so tired. And off she goes.
Fraser's like, why, babe? Why? And puts his arm around her. Oh, I was just like, let her go.
She just says, I'm so done, I'm so done. To which I thought about, I was like, that phrase, this generation use it. I mean, I use it sometimes, but they use it a lot. I'm just so done.
Yeah.
It wasn't in our vocabulary like 5 years ago, I'm sure.
No, we weren't allowed to be done.
No. There's no done until you're done.
You're done when you're dead.
You're done when I say you're done.
Yeah. Don't you look at me sideways and say you're done.
Done was a verb, not a fucking adjective.
If you're done, hand in your resignation. Mm-hmm. That's done.
Indeed. So the crew get ready and they head out and they look fucking amazing. I loved how Fraser said about his espadrilles that he feels like he's in downtown Marrakesh.
He had some really funny things. Earlier on in the episode, he was trying to fix up some flowers in a vase as well. And there was one like orchid stem. And he's like, please come on, why can't you just stay erect?
Yeah, a little bit more erect, please.
And then Hayley, I don't know if we've got to this. Yes, Hayley, as she was getting into her whites, she said, geez, I can't wait to shave
my vagina.
My vagina. These little things that you just pick up are just so funny. I've got some concerns for tonight.
Oh, pray tell.
Well, Alissa is emotional and she's tired.
Yes, and we know what.
When Alissa is emotional and tired, nothing goes well. So we've got Ben who's annoyed.
Yeah.
And we've got Hayley ready for fun, Fraser ready for fun, Ross
was ready yesterday.
He was 3 sheets to the wind before he even got
out of bed.
The restaurant. So Ben gets a text and says he'll be back in a sec. And he brings back Camille.
Surprise.
Alissa, camera goes straight to her. She's pissed. Katie runs and hugs Alissa and Alissa keeps saying how awkward it is. How awkward.
It's awkward for her because Camille basically says hi and hugs everyone at the table. Except Alissa.
Like Alissa never learns. So as soon as she sees Camille, it seems like her anxiety and her guilt is suddenly gone and her bitch mode is activated.
Yep.
And because she's straight back into awful comments.
Well, she's trying to deflect from her own emotion to put it all back on Camille and say, this is so embarrassing for her.
Yeah.
Camille's not embarrassed.
No.
She's having a lovely night.
It's hard to watch when she's being awful to someone else. She calls her Camille, whatever that means, and then laughs about it and said she'd be so embarrassed that she would die. She wouldn't even think about coming back. I don't like it. And Hayley and Alissa go for a cigarette and straight away she starts with Hayley. It's so embarrassing. So embarrassing.
Why, babes? Why, babes?
We already fired her.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Meaning...
Oh, my God.
She takes ownership of that because in her mind, she did. She made it happen.
So Camille and Ben say their goodbyes.
Yes.
Again.
But they seem happy to have one last goodbye.
A redo of their farewell.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And then we get him to camera saying, oh, I just, like, my heart is sinking and I'm head over heels. But it doesn't last long.
It'll be right then. I
wait.
see a new horizon.
Okay, so then they all head back to the boat for a party. So actually this crew day off has kind of already started tonight.
Yeah.
So they've had this dinner, they go back, they have a bit of a party. No one's really fucked up though. Ross tells Katie why he's staying in the cabin with Fraser, blah, blah, blah. They have a good chat. And then, here's the key. He's not pissed. He's actually quite sane and sober.
And lucid.
And they have sex. They go down to a guest cabin and they have sex.
Well, they have a shower together, Carla.
Oh, would you? Okay, recreate it for us, Lane.
No, they have a shower. That's
Shall
all
I
we know.
sing some Barry White music?
That's all.
Bow, bow, chick, bow, bow. That's really bad.
Yeah, because it wasn't right. I think it's bow chicka wow wow.
No, but they have sex because Ross says, as your HOD, I'm going to ask you to rate this sexual experience.
So funny.
I wonder how many girls he's said that to in his entire life. Hundreds. Thousands.
It's 6 a.m., 30 hours before charter.
30 hours for a crew party.
And everyone starts to get up and get ready for their big day.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like crew day off
Yeah.
pretty much started last night. This is why they get so fucked up
Yeah,
today.
they take brekkie shots.
Shots and champagne, which would do me right over at the start of the day. And then they go on a sailing catamaran. Is that what you would call that? Because you're the fisher person.
Yes, totally.
So they let loose. They're drinking hard. They're enjoying themselves.
Did you see the
especially
massive
Ross.
bottle of rosé?
Yes. It was like a magnum.
Like twofold magnum. It's not long before that gigantic rosé is finished.
And it's probably 9:00.
Yeah. So Rachel is in the cutest bikini and everyone spots her huge back tattoo.
Massive back tat.
And
Massive.
Hayley is just
massive.
so impressed, which she said she sat for 9 hours in one sitting to get that done. That is incredible.
Yeah.
So now Ross is double fisting at this point.
Yeah.
2 glasses of rosé in each hand. I smell some drunken trouble brewing. He's okay at this point.
You would be smelling correctly.
Hey, Tony's just loving the food. Tony is at the table getting stuck into all the – he's as happy as a pig in mud.
Yeah,
he's
living
loving all
his
the
best life.
Yeah, he is. So they arrive at their location and they jump into the gorgeous water and Alissa takes her kit off and Tyler joins in. Not all of them do it, but Tyler –
Who didn't?
Rachel,
Oh, yeah.
Katie, possibly Ross. I don't know if he even went in the water.
No, he had his shorts on when he came out
Yeah.
because Rachel gave him a golden shower.
So they're having fun. They had fun. So they're off the boat. They've left the gorgeous water and they've now en route to the mud baths.
They get to these amazing sulphur spring baths where there's this beautiful volcanic mud.
Yeah.
And what do? Mud up.
They mud up. It's 38 degrees Celsius. They were
Oh,
all
is that the temperature of the mud?
Yeah, it was really hot for them to
that's
get
hot.
into one of them. So they kind of moved to different areas. It's a potentially active volcano. They end up getting muddy because they find one that's not like going to burn their skin.
They don't just get muddy. They have a freaking bucket of mud and they
Yeah.
start smearing it over themselves.
And you get the slow-mo camera
and each other.
and then the slow-mo of the ass with just the mud.
Yeah.
It's all very sensual.
And then all of a sudden,
Mm.
it's Ross and Alissa together smearing.
Slippery.
Smarmy.
Slimy.
Sexy?
Not for
sexy.
Katie.
Salaciously.
Sensually.
Sloppily.
Sloppily.
Sloppily. Rubbing up against each other in the mud. And Katie is immediately like, right, he's on one. I slept with him last night.
Directly after their night together.
This is exactly what I didn't want, but what I should know and expect about him. I don't blame her.
Oh,
He just can't help himself.
no. It kind of doesn't really go anywhere, does it? They
No.
kind of like clean up and then get back into the van.
And he's so pissed.
Oh, my God.
He's absolutely shit-faced.
The burping.
He can barely stand up and he's burping everywhere. Everyone's grossed out by him. Like he's eating food. They're back at they get on the catamaran again and he's slopping big chunks of food into his face and it's going all over the floor.
And puts the spoon that he just had in his mouth in the same shared rice dish that everyone else is going to use. Like he's just not coherent. He's really not. He's completely out of it.
And what are we at? Midday? 3 p.m.?
No, it's the afternoon. It's like past 4 o'clock, but like he's catatonic. So he's back on the boat and he's upside down on the pole and he's actually really unsafe. So it's getting dark and he's now like walking around on the net of the catamaran. He's so blind. If he fell in, and Katie's like, sit down. Like she's trying to get him to sit down because she's like, I can see that if anything happens here, you're overboard and that's it.
Yeah.
So they're now heading to the restaurant and I'm not sure how Ross is going to get in.
So they've gone from crew dinner, early wake up, shots for breakfast, drinking all day, and now they're going to dinner.
Yes.
Ross is pissed as a newt. He cannot even walk. And everyone at the table has this air of like, oh, he's so pissed.
Fraser puts the menu up to half his face and to hide him from Ross. And I'm like, well, I don't know why you're hiding it, mate. He's not going to understand you. And he's like, Ross is so blind. And I'm like.
And Tony is saying, how did I end up at this end of the table? Like,
Poor Tony.
Tony says this guy crosses.
He starts in Spanish.
He's like, this guy crosses a line with liquor. He can't control it, handle it, whatever it is. And he's right. They're all right. Rachel, though, says, I mean, I can't throw stones because if you threw it at me, this shit would shatter. And then we get a cut back to her like 2 seasons ago where she was Ross blind singing on a stage. Have you seen that? You should go back and watch that.
I will go back, yeah.
Because she was on par with Ross. Not the sex stuff, but the level.
She's really turned herself around.
Yeah, she has.
Alissa.
I've got a lot to say here. I wish I didn't because I'm so over talking about her, but I know it's coming to an end.
She gets up and she buttons his shirt up.
Yeah. And she says, I'm just going to do up your bottom button.
Thanks, Marilyn.
And then was it Ross says first, I'd love to kiss you. And then Alissa says, I'd love to kiss you too. And I'm hotter than her.
Oh, my God, it's so mean.
Then she says to camera, I only flirt with Ross because he's a scumbag and I love to see everybody squirm.
What a delight. And then she says, you can't ruin a relationship that's not there.
Yeah. This all boils down to Alissa having really, really low self-esteem.
Yeah.
She wants attention, and unfortunately, this is the only way she's going to get attention tonight. She knows if she flirts with Ross and gets something out of him maybe, and all of the other people at the table are going to look at her and be watching her and be reporting on her, whether it's negative attention or positive, that's the only attention she's going to get tonight.
And I think that with this attention, she's feeling like she's not doing anything wrong. I think what she's wanting people to outwardly see is that Ross is doing this, not her doing this, so that the tables will turn when people are like, well, actually, we're looking at you, Alissa. You're the one doing this, when in her mind, I honestly feel like she's thinking it's Ross. Ross is the flirt. Ross is the one that
can't control himself.
Because she's not as drunk as Ross. She's got herself covered. She's handled. But what we're seeing is like, it would be like if the tables were turned and there was a female that was that drunk and a male was doing that
100%
to a female. Like, you're abusing that situation.
Yeah, we would be looking at that female going, she is vulnerable and so fucking pissed, and there's some fucking lecher who wants to take advantage of her when she's in a vulnerable state.
Yeah.
That is what Alissa did.
Yes.
Knowingly and intentionally.
It just did my head in. I couldn't look at it. It was disgusting.
And she also says you can't ruin a relationship that's not there. So as much as Katie wants to be a wifey, it's just not there. I'm sorry, Alissa. Katie does not want to be a wifey.
No.
Katie's 30 years old. Katie knows what Ross is about. She is having a casual fling with a guy on a boat. Don't try to make it more than that. Everyone knows what Ross is about.
And then, so it's basically 10 o'clock. They're leaving. And Alissa and Ross walk together and she holds his hand along the dock. And thank God for Hayley, because Hayley turns around, she's like, she's breaking girl code. And she knows she's breaking girl code. So they're back on board and Katie goes to her cabin straight away and Ross finally makes his way to her door and she's not having anything to do with it.
I take it.
Oh, my God.
Because
It's so gross.
He can't even speak.
It's so gross.
And she's like, off you go.
Yeah, she don't want to play that game. Don't even play that game with me.
And Katie, I bet you're glad now he didn't move into your cabin that night.
Oh, my God.
Because imagine that. Then he's in your face. Then you got to sit. You got to deal with him all friggin' night. Katie says, you know what, just fuck off. You're pissed. Everyone saw what you did. It's embarrassing. You're making me look like an idiot. I wish I didn't sleep with you last night. Everyone's supporting Katie.
He has no idea what she's talking about. He's like, what do you mean?
Alissa.
Like, now Alyssa's up on the deck with Fraser in the spa and she starts getting her story out there. So
yes, with Fraser. Yeah.
the whole Ross and Katie situation's awkward, isn't it?
What is she in it say
She's
next?
so, dude, he flirts with me all the time. And when nobody's around, he's literally grabbing me. And Fraser says, he's like, I think Katie's done. And then Alissa, I'd be surprised if she's done. She has no self-respect. What is wrong with her?
Alissa, I hope you have found therapy. I mean that in a nice way.
I know, I get it.
She actually has no self-respect and no self-esteem.
Or morals.
Tyler would like to talk about morals too, because he says he's got a better moral compass at 26 than what Ross has at 38.
Agree.
And then we get our coming up on. Katie tells us, like we didn't know that Ross is a fuck boy and she has a wall up. Hayley tells Alissa to stop being patronising. It's a do-over divorce trip for a bunch of ladies.
Oh, yes.
And Alyssa's downfall continues.
All will be revealed.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
If you'd like to follow us on Insta, come over to theaftdeckpod.
Or send us an email on theaftdeckpod@gmail.com. We'd love to know what you think about the show and what you'd like us to cover for upcoming seasons.